move over to something else now. And Vinesh Maharaj has successfully fought his way from the Cape Flats to the business skylines of the continent's economic centre. His presentations these days leave audiences inspired to take on the world. Maharaj aims to help countless individuals overcome their challenges and achieve their dreams. He joins me now in a studio to discuss his journey and, of course, a book that you've written that talks about kicking average in the teeth, and it speaks about various themes around laziness and kind of getting up and just getting things done. Before we get into the context of your coaching in this regard, what is it about your story that got you to focus on this component of coaching and really just trying to help people turn their lives around?
Hey, Robio, thanks so very much for having me today. That's a great question, and I think for many of us human beings, everybody has a story.
Yeah.
But can you turn your tragedy into triumph? Can you turn your challenge into opportunity? Can you rise above your conditioning to create a life that you deserve and desire? And there's nothing really special about my story. I think we all have a story.
Yeah.
And how do you use your story to empower others? And not just the story, the lessons from the story. And, you know, some of my lessons, the Cape Flats, drugs, gangsterism, violence, crime, where every single day you have a choice to make. Am I going to watch or am I going to win? Am I going to subscribe to this model and theory, or am I going to connect to something greater? And I want to bring hope, inspiration, and strategy to people so that they can rise above the mediocrity of being average.
Yeah, I mean, being average, and I don't want to say we're all at fault for this, but the COVID-19 pandemic, natural disasters, there are a number of challenges that have just drawn people of their energy and their motivation to go through life. And so many find themselves being average. But in the book, you speak about getting out of that mindset and becoming above average. But how do you do that in the current world that we live in?
Hey, first and foremost, I say that you have to get up, you got to show up. And people don't know how to show up. We're constantly being challenged by our mindset. And your mindset is dictated by you.
Yeah.
Imagine if you could change your mind. You know, there's a great quote, I think it was by Henry Ford. It says, whether you think you can or think you can't, you are right. So how do we get people post-COVID, post-mindset, post this depression or long COVID, whatever you call it, how do we move people to get out of that? Here's number one, make a commitment and a decision that I'm not going to be a victim of my circumstances. Number two, go and sit by the fire if you want to get hot. You can't sit here in the cold and complain, it's so cold, it's so cold. You have to move to the fire. So move to people who can turn you on. Go and sit with those thought leaders, those big thinkers, the innovators, the creators, the passionate, the driven. And they will pull you up because they say that when you hold the honey jar or the jam jar, some of that sticky stuff must transfer to your fingers.
Yeah.
So by being with greater people than you are, they will pull you up from whatever situation you find yourself in. So number one, make a decision. Number two is get around greatness. Shoot for epic. Don't be average. Go around great people. And I know that there's a shortage perhaps in your area. In my area, the Cape Flats, the challenge was become a drug addict, become a gangster, become a taxi boss, become a shebeen queen. And that was the level of excitement that I could achieve in my life. And that was a script that I didn't see happening for me because I wanted something way beyond that. If I sat with those people, I would become those people. You're the average of the 5 people. I didn't want to be the 5 around me. So I had to change my environment. I had to get out of my comfort zone because growth is on the other side of comfort.
And that's difficult to do, getting out of your comfort zone.
Absolutely. And it starts with this thing called desire. Like, what do you desire? Do you want to be a victim? Do you want to stay in bed? Do you want to be depressed, poor, unloved, lonely, sickly, unhealthy? Is that what you want for your life? I don't believe it. Not for a moment. I think every single one of us has this burning potential, this ambition, this desire. If I asked you when you were a kid, you had a dream, you had an ambition, and that's what brought you to this moment in your life. Your story would be of struggle and challenge. But you've decided, I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to invest in my education. I'm going to invest in my skills. By the way, when people meet me, they say, you're not from the Cape Flats. Yeah. And I say, yes, I am, Brutie. This is me, Vinesh. I'm from the Cape Flats. They don't believe me because I invested. I went to a place called the Voice Clinic, and I spent 12 weeks and maybe 30,000 Rand investing so that I didn't sound like I'm from the Cape Flats, so that I could appeal to the world. So are you willing to invest in yourself in a mediocre environment where you are encouraged to be on a SASA grant. There's a commission and a payoff to be on a grant. There's a commission and a payoff to be a nyope, ganja addict, whatever that commission is. There's a commission to be a cash in transit robber. There's a commission, and people aspire for those commissions. I want to give you the positive commission, that you can find fulfillment and meaning by aspiring to not be average, but to be epic, to be extraordinary, so that the gifts and the talents that you come into this world get to shine, like Rihanna said, shine bright like a diamond, my friends.
Yeah, but I want to play devil's advocate here, Vinesh, because I'm listening to you and I'm thinking it's easier to get a grant from government than it is to go out and look for a job, especially as a young person, with over 60% of young people being unemployed. It's just easier to wait for a handout from government and perhaps dabble in crime every now and then if it's going to put some food on the table. How do you get someone out of that mindset, saying it's a lot more difficult to invest in myself and go out every day and try and find that job or whatever it is, be disappointed but keep getting up, than it is to just wait for government?
I love that. It's a beautiful question. In my book, Kick Average in the Teeth, one of the chapters is called Hustle Like an Immigrant. Immigrants cannot get a SASA grant. Immigrants cannot get a government grant. They can't get medical care. They have no safety net. We think our safety net is there to protect us. Your safety net is a limitation. Burn the boats. There's a beautiful story. In the 1500s, Hernandez Cortez from Spain approaches, I think, Mexico, and he wants to take the land, but he's got 10 boats with 100 men on each boat, so that's a 1,000-man army. When he gets to land, he sends his scouts up. His scouts go and they come back and says, Cornel, Hernandez, we've got problems. And they say, what is it, man? And he says, there are 10,000 men, they know we are coming. You know what he does? He lands the boats, he calls the people around and he says, my friends, burn the boats. We fight and we win, or we die trying to win. So when you burn the boats of that SASA grant, it's a limitation. You burn the boats of that grant, that government handout. This is holding us hostage in our consciousness. Get around people who are free of this handout, because the handout comes with golden handcuffs.
Yes.
And the handcuffs are forever. You know, and we talk about skeletons in the closet, right? Imagine, nobody wants their skeletons exposed. So burn the boats, don't have skeletons, and build your dream or your destiny. I can name 100 people in South Africa, you know them, who've built something out of nothing, who committed to greatness, who decided that I'm not going to be a victim. I'm going to come. You know, one of my heroes is Mofaya. You know, my man Spoo, you know, I mean, he's hustling and grinding for his dreams. He's an inspiration to me. I see him on social media, and he's standing there and he's pushing Mofaya, and I'm going, go, my brother, go, because that's far better than standing with a begging bowl. Give up your SASA grant, man. And I know that, hey, some people need it. There are people who need it, but there are people who want it. There's a difference. Do you want an epic life, or do you want an average life? I'll give you a quick example. You meet an average-looking guy who invites you on an average date. You go to an average restaurant for dinner, prepared by an average chef, served by an average waiter, with average ambiance. You go to an average movie, by average producer, director, average actors. Do you think you're going to have a mind-blowing lifestyle with that person if they become your partner for life? No. Probably not. You are committing yourself to average. My friends, you have a choice and a decision to make every day. I just want to close with this before I hand over to you. There's one thing that I speak of, is that in Africa, both the gazelle and the lion wake up in the morning knowing that I've got to run. The question is, are you the lion or are you the gazelle?
That's a
Make
good
your
question.
decision, my friends.
Very good question. Thank you very much for those insights, and thank you for joining us in studio. That is motivational speaker, author and coach Vinesh Maharaj there, speaking about rising above being average. Let's hand you over to